Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to Season 3 and episode number 277 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. Yeah. Jazz hands going side to side on the screen. I'm your host, the Daily Beaver. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him. Hey, Mr. Beaver, eh? And yes, I am a little bit rough today. Mr. Grizzly and I were talking pre-show. We each had one drink yesterday, and we woke up feeling like we drank the whole bar for some reason. Today, recording day is Wednesday, December 20th, 2023, and I think it will be a nice day here at the Beaver Lodge. We still have a little dusting of snow, so if it stays, we will probably have a barely white Christmas this year, but we'll take it because it's now starting to feel a little festive. A big thank you goes to our founding sponsors, the Pepper Master, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. My brain is working faster than my mouth. Please forgive me. We have a nibble for you. Yeah, we have a nibble for you today. But before we do anything else, let's say hello to Mr. Grizzly and ask him how his mental health is doing today. Sir.
Good morning, Mr. Beaver. Mental health-wise, my mental health is good. I'm just completely uncoordinated and very, very tired. And I dropped my tablet a second ago while I was trying to set it up as a teleprompter, and it fell on the console, and it hit a bunch of buttons. Oh, no, it's fine. Nothing's broken, nothing like that. It just dropped volume levels and muted stuff and hit a record button, and that's what I was trying to fix up there.
Oh man,
it's a rough start to the morning for me, and I can't seem to. My mic keeps. I might need some Viagra, I think. Do I have to lower my seat just to get like, what the hell? This guy paid for this. It's supposed to support this microphone.
We had that problem with during the podcast too.
Yeah, it just
went.
Not a metaphor. It's not a metaphor.
Oh man. Had a pretty good. Yesterday was a pretty good day.
Yeah.
That thing that had been stressing my beaver sweetie out with regard to his patent has been resolved.
Outstanding.
We can breathe.
Cool.
And turns out that we thought that there may have been some drama there, and turns out there was no drama all along. So we worried for nothing.
That happens, it's weird how your mind can go a million places when you're allowed to let the anxiety take over. And let's face it, anxiety is an asshole.
Mhm.
I mean,
But there was some assuming
mhm,
of the worst
of
given
course.
the delays, but turns out, no, no. So that's really good.
So it's
Uh,
going to go ahead. He's going to make this thing happen. He's going to change the world.
well, somebody has to take them up on it, but Queen's University takes care of doing the marketing, and they, get 50%, and then the other three, him and his two supervisors, have a sharing agreement now in place for the rest, and now it's just crossing the fingers and hoping that Queen's University goes ahead, and Alex hopefully will be finishing writing his 40th draft of the paper because the journal keeps on saying, "No, fix this and fix that and fix that," and it's like he's like, "Dudes, it's been 3 years. Can you just publish the damn thing?"
Yeah, no kidding.
Um, so hopefully he will be submitting, what should be the final one, which fingers crossed will be accepted. Ah, maybe, so by around the 28th, and there's a possibility that he may have run in to a little money, that might help him go back in the lab for a little bit, because 'cause he's
Oh,
been dying to
nice.
get back into the lab, but it seems that his former supervisor has a certain amount of money that he needs to at least commit by the end of the year and has to be spent next year, and, um, he doesn't have anything to commit it on, so maybe
Mm,
some would go his way, and that would allow him to get back in the lab and touch on a few other things or start to, like, do a half-year postdoc or something. It's it's been hard to come by. It really has been hard to come by. It's just graduating in 2020 from a PhD was really weird, especially if you were in the science,
yeah.
go somewhere and have a lab and nothing was open. It was just weird.
Well, understandably so, because it was a strange time we were all going through, and he didn't. He like millions of individuals around the world were denied the. Um, I don't want to say privilege because it was earned, but denied the joyous celebration of convocation
Yeah, I mean, we
at a
had
time when it
one,
was. Yeah,
but it
you
was
did, but
later. But
it
it's all
was.
but it was all
Yeah.
the things, when you publish the PhD, when it comes off the press, there's a bell that you ring, did get that, and, usually there's a celebratory dinner with your supervisor and the other people in the department, whatnot, and that didn't happen, and then convocation happened late, and it was like 2 or 3 classes graduating at the same time,
Hmm, hmm.
and, uh, and just like I said, there's there's a standard plan. You graduate, you look around for your postdoc opportunities, you apply to a couple places, talk to people, you find it, you go. And
Yes.
none of that happened. And then when it comes time to get one, well, now you got 3 years of classes looking for the same postdocs. I mean, and there's not 3 years worth of postdocs all available all at once. So there's a lot of people that, like, I'm sure he's not the only one that's going through this. It
Oh,
was a
no
really
doubt.
weird
No, there.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
And now,
You're right. He's not on his
again,
own, but it's still.
is yeah, and then again, when you compare it to the things, people that couldn't go to funerals and people that couldn't go to weddings and weddings that had to be canceled and big life events that were missed. Graduation from PhD is a big life event, of course, but it's,
Mhm.
it kinds of feels weird complaining. Like, I didn't get my graduation ceremony the other time. I didn't get to ring my bell. It's like I didn't get to go to my father's funeral,
Yeah. Yeah,
right?
there's
S-
bigger. Yeah.
So, but it's 7 years of your life. Right, it's a big
It's a
milestone,
big
and
commitment.
achievements need to be like the end of things need to be marked,
Mhm. Agreed.
right? So the ceremony and ritual, are important for a reason, right? Having a good beginning and having good endings matter. So it's I'm just happy for him that this part is something he no longer has to worry about anymore. And there's also, when you have to go out and sell this thing.
Mhm.
And you're sitting there, it's like, well, what's my potential return if I'm gonna put in all this effort? Now he knows,
Mhm.
and that's motivating, right? So now you know what you're working for. So yeah, I'm crossing my fingers that this will be the start of um, not being able to have those concerns, and his mind will be able to be freed up to think about more fun things like what he wants to research next, and that type of stuff, rather than trying to finish a project that's been just lingering.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah.
Hmm.
All right. Kids, there have been a couple of interesting developments. The Prime Minister gave his year end interview with Rosemary Barton, which we don't have yet because it will be aired on the 25th. But little clips, little teaser clips have been
This one right
released.
here.
And this one here might be interesting to us because it's a subject we've been talking about for a while. Mr. Grizzly.
We don't want to be in a situation of having a fight with India right now over this. We want to be working on that trade deal. We want to be advancing our Indo-Pacific strategy. But it is foundational for Canada to stand up for people's rights, for people's safety, and for the rule of law. And that's what we're going to do.
Since that indictment in the United States, which I'm sure you're aware of, has there been any movement from India, any willingness to cooperate with the Americans and then with us, because that's out publicly now?
I think there is the beginning of an understanding that they can't bluster their way through this, and there is an openness to collaborating in a way that perhaps they were less open before.
What does that mean?
But it means what it is. There's an understanding that maybe just churning out attacks against Canada isn't going to make this problem go away.
So something has changed since that indictment was made public?
I wouldn't say it's changed, but there might be a tonal shift, perhaps.
Wow.
Now, one thing I like about this is he's not trying to oversell it,
No, no.
right? Wow, we got it. We got some movement. This is great. We know we're going to move forward, and look at me. I'm so great. It's like, I'm not saying that there's been a change, but there's been a tonal shift. And I mean, of course, there are many reasons for which there could be a tonal shift. When you're India and you're anxious to join the big table, that expression from Beau of the Fifth Column that we keep on using, the international poker table where everyone's cheating. Well, when you
Hmm.
want to play at the main table, not at the junior tables, there are certain things you're not allowed to do anymore. And to get access to that main table, you kind of have to have the United States on your side. And the United States is less than impressed. So, there could be more damage to India's aspirations from pissing off the United States than there can be from Canada because, there's only so much we can do compared to a country of India's size, but not the same for the United States. So when Canada's saying something and then the United States comes back behind the shoulder and goes, yeah.
Hmm.
And then Australia, New Zealand, and the UK are there too. Because remember, when people were saying, where's the proof, where's the evidence? The Five Eyes, as it was kind of described, it's sort of like this library of intelligence that all nations load stuff up into, upload stuff to, that they're okay with everybody else seeing. And it seems that there was a lot of stuff in there because the United States investigation into those plots was further ahead than the Canadian one. And that was going on while Canada did that, was making all those approaches to India diplomatically, the right way, quietly, so that they could save face. And then they wouldn't. And then they put some articles saying that there was tons of cocaine on the Prime Minister's plane. That probably wasn't a smart move.
Well, I mean,
Probably was
the
not a smart
accusation
move.
alone is ridiculous because think about it. They've never set foot on the plane.
Well, that's the thing, number one. But number two, right? If you are a state sponsor of this type of activity and you have done it in Canada and the United States at similar time periods, and Canada tells you, we know, what are the odds that the US also knows?
Hmm.
I think the lack of experience at the global stage going, oh, well, it's just Canada. We could keep doing it. And it's like, has it ever occurred to you that if Canada knows, maybe the United States knows? Because if you're doing this and you know that you're doing this, but you're denying that you're doing that, you know, it's like if these were rogue agents and India didn't really know, I could understand something. But if these are not rogue agents, it's like, and again, as I keep on saying, when it's you yourself in the mirror, you know what you've done.
Hmm.
Taking the calculation that, oh, we can bash Canada because the United States hasn't said anything yet. So, gee, we must have done this so well that there's no way the United States is not aware yet. So let's bash Canada. The person who sat there with the calculator going, maybe didn't press the right buttons there when they were doing the beat
So it would
counting.
seem. Huh? So it would seem.
Right. Um, Now, what's interesting in this is that not only has Canada noticed a tonal shift, but the world now has seen a tonal shift because Prime Minister Narendra Modi gave an interview to the Financial Times, the London Financial Times,
Mhm.
where he has responded publicly to US charges of an assassination plot. Not Canada's, but the United States. And of course, well, they have more and they have let more publicly be known. Um, now, it's also been reported in the Hindustan Times. And in the Hindustan Times, it says Prime Minister Narendra Modi has responded to US charges of an assassination plot. Prime Minister has, for the first time, responded to allegations of a plot in the United States, saying he will, quote, look into any evidence, but, quote, few incidents would not derail US India ties. I think he's stating wishful thinking as fact there because these types of incidents could, in fact, very much derail US India ties, which is the reason for which he's looking into it.
Mhm.
Because if he wasn't worried about the ties, as was the case with Canada, he would tell him to F off and then use the press to try and tear down the leader. That's not happening in the case of the United States. Tell me you are worried about your ties being derailed without telling me you are worried about your ties being derailed. In an interview with the
Well,
Financial Times, Prime Minister Modi said, quote, if someone gives us any information, we would definitely look into it. If a citizen of ours has done anything good or bad, we are ready to look into it. Our commitment is to the rule of law. Wow, that is a big change. That's more than a total shift. That's like a total electric
uh,
slide.
that's a seismic shift, I'd say, not a tonal shift. That's
Yeah, but the prime minister, again, cautiously, right? Not overselling it, but when you're
mhm.
listening to it, this is big. This is
Oh,
big.
yes.
Yes. Expressing deep concern over the activities of certain extremist groups based overseas, Modi told the Financial Daily, quote, these elements under the guise of freedom of expression have engaged in intimidation and incited violence. I will repeat that. These elements under the guise of freedom of expression have engaged in intimidation and incited violence. He's stating
It's
it
a
as a fact.
it's a mea culpa.
Well, he's not saying we did it
No, but
or we had something to do with it, but he's admitting it happened.
yeah, he's not denying it.
Yeah. Modi states, quote, there is strong bipartisanship support for the strengthening of this relationship, which is a clear indicator of a mature and stable partnership. Security and counterterrorism cooperation has been a key component of our partnership. I don't think it is appropriate to link a few incidents with diplomatic relations between the two countries. Oh, it is very appropriate. We need to accept the fact that we are living in the era of multilateralism. The world is interconnected as well as interdependent. This reality compels us to recognize that absolute agreement on all matters cannot be a prerequisite for collaboration. hmm These are all quotes from Modi.
Well, he knows his hand is in the cookie jar and they see it there. So do you think he's just trying to save some face now or
Well, especially he's got elections coming up, right?
rescue some trade agreements, perhaps?
Oh, yes. The big free trade agreement between the United States and India, and one between Canada and India also
Mhm.
is at play here. And
So,
the prime minister was on the record saying that he was not going to take any other steps to advance that trade agreement until such time as.
mhm.
Mm.
It makes one wonder, though. It's like, this Modi is a borderline dictator. I can't say that he's flat out a dictator, but a borderline one. And he's a bit of an autocrat. He's part of the IDU. He likes Harper. He is, he's. But in the end, what motivates all of these people, all
Money,
of these
money,
IDU
money,
people? You
must
got it.
money.
We're going to
It's
do things
a
our way.
rich
Oh, wait, we're
one.
losing a trade agreement? Oh, shit. Yeah, we did some bad stuff. We're really terribly sorry about that. Can we sign trade agreement now, please?
Mhm.
Now.
Particularly since, India has a place in the world that it's worked very hard to get to with regard, for example, to call centers and
Mhm.
that type of stuff. But they aspire to more. They want to be integrated into the global production line.
Right. Well, they have the people. They just have to build the factories. They need a Shenzhen, right? They need
Yeah.
a city, I'm blanking. Oh boy. There's a city in southern India. It's where all the tech is, and I'm completely blanked out right now. But there's a ton of tech there, and they could mobilize and do this. It's where a lot of the development takes place. I'm losing my mind here.
Bangalore?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I wanted to say Bhopal, but I knew that was incorrect, and Bhopal is not in the south. Bangalore. It's the tech center of India, and it could become the next Shenzhen, but they need investment from multinational conglomerates and countries and trade agreements to go forward. It could be the next Shenzhen. They have the people, they have the population. They just literally need to build the factories and get the people trained up to the Chinese standard. Now, and I say this because everything these days is made in China, but there was a time when anything made in China, you didn't want it because the quality just wasn't there. I'm not making it up. It's a fact.
Mhm.
2008, when BlackBerry came out with the Bold, which was the touch screen that clicked, 60% of them were returned. They were made in Shenzhen. Well, since that time, all the best stuff comes from there now. Korea or China. And a lot of it is just, even Korea, they send most of their manufacturing to China just because they don't have the manpower, for want of a better term. They don't have the bodies. They
Mhm.
don't have the factories. They don't have the building facilities to build.
Mhm.
So everything goes to Shenzhen for the most part. Foxconn is the big company that builds the iPhone. It builds for Samsung. It builds for a number of companies. The quality is vastly superior to what it was 15 years ago. It's night and day. So you got to figure if India can get on and start getting small manufacturing companies, contracts is the word I was looking for, and slowly build from there, they could become and could very much overtake China because they already have a larger population base. They just don't have the infrastructure in place. So these trade agreements are unbelievably important to India. So he'll throw his politics aside, his dictatorial belief system, his IDU belief system aside, if money is on the table, and money looks like it's going to be pulled off the table.
Mhm.
Watch how quickly their belief system gets tossed out the window when it comes to money.
Mhm. Well, in this book that I keep referring to often called The World is Flat by Thomas Friedman, he's talking about, once you kind of secure your spot in the global supply chain, the odds of war and civil war in your country go down a lot because it takes so long to get there. And if the rest of the world starts to feel that you're not dependable,
Mhm.
starts to move the production away,
Exactly.
it's really hard to get it back.
It's darn near impossible. Truth be told, it's
Yeah.
darn near impossible.
Yeah. So it's like, if you want to sit at the big table, if you want to come sit with us,
Mhm.
ah, ah, ah.
Well, you look back, growing up in the 70s and 80s, and it took me a long time to get my head around that because everything I knew, the best electronics were manufactured in Canada or the United States. And then that switched and it became Japan. Japan made the best quality because they had the highest quality, they had the highest quality control. And then it got too expensive to manufacture and purchase in Japan. And a lot of stuff got moved to Taiwan. And it, again, came in low quality and slowly ramped up. And then it moved on to Korea. And they started with low quality. If you look at, so LG, we're all familiar with LG
Right.
and Samsung.
Mm-hmm.
30 years ago, LG and Samsung, LG, by the way, is Lucky Gold Star. They sold a product in North America called Gold Star.
Right.
It was garbage. It literally was. It was the cheapest electronics. Samsung and LG, they did the same thing. They took something like $50 million worth of equipment, piled it into a big pile, and torched it. And the owners of Samsung, I know specifically Samsung, said, we're going to redo everything. And they did. They reinvented the company and created better manufacturing and quality control techniques. Lucky Gold Star, which became LG, did the same thing. Now, you look at how these factories are developing. Like I said, they'll come in cheap. As Hugh said in the chat, India will come in cheap to get the product. But if they're having issues about resolving their trade agreements by, assassinating Canadian and American citizens on Canadian and American soil, that trade agreement will be torn up pretty darn quickly, and you will not get the business that you're expecting to get. And people will boycott. They will. It's been done before. It'll happen again.
Absolutely. I was at the LCBO yesterday, buying some wine for Christmas presents, and passed right by the Argentinian wine section, and I thought, I wonder when that push is going to start. When people are going to start asking people to start boycotting Argentinian wine.
Well, we'll just, if you get enough people writing to the LCBO and saying, could you please not purchase that anymore? It'll happen.
At some point,
degree, I don't know.
At some point, he's going to try and go off on another country of some type, and that will happen, right?
Well, remember, the LCBO is the largest purchaser of wine and spirits on Earth. It's the largest single entity on Earth. Yes. Well, you got to remember, in the United States, most of these stores are independent. The province of Alberta, they're independent. Manitoba has a liquor commission, but it's, barely over 1 million people. Whereas Ontario is almost 16 million people. The LCBO is the largest purchaser of wine and spirits on Earth.
Wow.
Unfortunately, we don't get the discounts passed along to us, but
yeah. Good morning to all the kits in the chat here. We're with us: Kit PNC Bio, Kit Hugh, Kit Tavi G, Kit Dan, Kit Elaine, Kit Jillian, Kit My Dogs Are Goth. Let's see who else do we have here with us. Kit the Daily Beaver. Good morning to you. Kit Mystical. Hey. Kit J Crick, Kit Linda M. Wow, everybody's here today. This is so nice. Kit Saucy, Kit James. Thank you so much. We've seen the super chat donations yesterday and today. Really appreciate it. And the day before as well.
Throwing us money. Thanks, brother. We really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Yes, you're very, very kind and good to us. We appreciate that. And I owe you a call. So I will be calling you. All right. Kit, let's see, who else do we have with us today? Looking through, Kit Elaine, of course. I'm sure reminding us to smash all those buttons somewhere along the way. And I'm sure there are more, but you have been very active already. Thank you so much for contributing to the show. Kit Mohan, I see here. If I've missed you, I'm sorry, but good morning to you as well. Economic news. Inflation numbers are out. And this is more good news, for Canadians, but also for the Prime Minister as they're looking to change the narrative. The inflation rate held steady at 3.1% for November, matching the previous month's rate. So it didn't go up, which is good. We're getting close to any numbers that will start be showing 2 point something is going to be good for this government. And it looks like maybe next year we'll be starting to see some of that, if not the numbers for December. According to the Bank of Canada, mortgage interest rate costs and the high cost of rental remain the two largest contributors to the inflation rate. For mortgage costs, it's up 29.8%, and for rent, it's 7.4%, up from a year ago, respectively. And very few people have gotten wage increases to match that. Higher prices for travel tours put upward pressure on consumer costs, but slower price growth for food and energy and cell services balanced this out. So it's nice there. The price of groceries rose 4.7% from a year ago, and I think that that's the first time it's gone under 5% since this whole crisis started.
Hmm.
And if volatile food and energy prices are stripped out from the core inflation number, the consumer price index hovered at 3.5% in November, which I think is much lower than it was the previous month, because I believe it was still in the 4% there.
Could very well be.
Yeah.
It's dropped. It's dropped though.
Yeah, I'm going from memory on that one, but I
Mhm.
don't remember ever reporting a core inflation number that started with 3. So that is definitely new. Throughout Canada, the inflation rate varies from as low as 0.4% in November on PEI to as high as 3.6% in Quebec. So there have been, it varies across the country. But overall for the nation, it is 3.1, which is a good sign here.
Did you?
Yes?
I was going to add something to it because we're discussing economies and rents and that and the other thing.
Mhm.
Did you see what the mayor of Halifax said just the other day?
No, I have not.
I have the clip for you.
Oh, please.
It's 2 minutes and 18 seconds, and it's worth your 2 minutes and 18 seconds because his commentary is factual, and he put himself out there in this one. Watch this.
Okay.
You'll like this.
I don't speak on behalf of any party, I can guarantee you that. But, I've long believed that we've spent a lot of time and a lot of money in this country sustaining poverty and very little money eradicating poverty. All the programs we have seem to be meant to keep people just below where they can survive, with one exception. Canada has one of the best rates in the world of seniors poverty. There are seniors in poverty, largely single women who have not had a good relationship in the past. But our poverty rate among seniors is among the lowest in the world. I think it's third lowest in the OECD. And that's because we bought in a basic income for seniors years ago, the OAS and the GIS, particularly the guaranteed income security measures. So the cause of poverty-related issues, homelessness, health inequality, education inequality, environmental inequality, it seems pretty evident, but it's true. The cause of that is lack of income. And so I'm always very reluctant to tell other orders of government how to do their business. We're advising what we think, and I think it's important that this be something that's considered. I really do. I think it's time. Probably would cost us money, but as Councillor Cleary said, we need to keep some of our social constructs in place, but many of them would collapse into this basic income system and provide people in a country like ours the opportunity to have a chance to at least have the opportunity for a better life. A number of people, I did work with Hugh Segal when I was a parliamentarian. Art Eggleton was another one who was a strong supporter of this. No less a progressive than Richard Nixon seriously looked at a basic annual income in 1969 and 70 as a way to improve productivity. Some people think it will reduce productivity because you're giving people an income. You're giving people an opportunity. So I believe in it. And the measures such as the child, the child benefit and things like that have been helpful. Introducing national $10 a day child care. These are all important measures. But I think for me, I think this is an important step. And without any ill words to anybody, I just commend it to the federal and provincial governments for their serious consideration. It should not be a political issue. I don't believe it is. You've seen the range of people who've supported it. But it is an issue of equality, so I think it makes sense.
Ooh, yes, Mike Savage, Mayor of Halifax. Way to go.
Yeah. This program, UBI, is not a Liberal or NDP program. It has been brought about by, like you said, Richard Nixon, 1969, 1970, a Republican, a staunch Republican. Hugh Segal, late Senator Hugh Segal.
Yep.
Universal basic income. Bootstraps need boots. The reason that they want to bring about these programs, and this is the best part of it, And I've discussed this with friends of mine who are lifelong progressive conservatives, and I need to really stress that, right?
Mhm.
Because they have nothing to do with this current party.
Right.
The reason they agree with this program is because it saves us money. It saves money.
Yes.
It saves all of us money.
Yes. That's what Laura Babcock was telling us. When you
Mhm.
the cost of people when they're just living in shelters, goes up X number the services per person. Now it's like when they're homeless completely, add like quintuple that, right, or something of the sort. It's again, if you are a total selfish capitalist, this is in your interest. It's not socialism. It's not socialism.
It's not. It actually will benefit your wallet.
Mhm.
Now, if we could just get enough people to realize this, and the metrics prove this. That's the thing. The metrics prove it.
Mhm.
It's a program that is good for everyone.
We saw it with CERB, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, the point that I made the other day, we emerged from the pandemic without a single quarter of negative growth. CERB, maybe that
Saved
had
us.
something to do with that.
Mhm.
CEBA, CWS. Maybe the fact that we kept people whole during a rough time had something to do with that. So if we can keep people whole during a rough time during a pandemic, and we don't have a pandemic, and people are going through a rough time, and we can keep them whole, the rough times that we go through, you lose a job, you get injured, this, you can keep people whole. What are the odds that the same thing might happen on a micro basis and not a macro basis?
Exactly.
I think people's eyes were opened up. Like I said, I was very, very surprised in the last election that wasn't there. That wasn't a plank. But
I thought it would have been.
I thought it
really
would have been
did.
too, especially with all the talk of Build Back Better. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a plank in the next one, maybe a federal pilot or studying, but I would not be surprised at all.
Well, this statement here from Mohan, as a capitalist, I would want the people to have more money to spend. That's the thing, though. They go, but it's my tax dollars. Yeah, but if they don't have money to spend, please explain to me how they can possibly help you and your bottom line if there's no money to be spent.
Mm-hmm. You have to create a situation where people are spending more money than you are spending on them. Right. To a certain extent. Now, I know that's not the case because, we each have our share of roads and all that kind of stuff. But in terms of services to keep people healthy, like this avoidance of conflicts with the law, keeping people out of hospitals, right? Not multiplying interactions with law enforcement or social services, all of that, it's a good thing. So, pardon me. So, yes, I am very glad that Mr. Grizzly showed us that because that's very important. And Kit Sadeka, supermodel, I see you. And Kit Tim, hello as well. Miss Sadeka said that she was going to start watching the Moose and something else show. It went by
Moose and
very
Squirrel.
quickly. Moose and Squirrel show, I think. And Kid James says that he expects scandalous benefits in return
I
for
saw
the
that,
super
yeah.
chat donations. I can do scandalous, my friend. I can do scandalous.
I have no idea, by the way, folks, what's going on today with my feed. I've the only thing running right now is restreaming my camera, so I don't know what is going on. I'm trying to figure it out, but see, because in restream it looks fine. I look normal, but I have a monitor up here so I can see what's going on. It's next to my camera, so I can look into the camera and it's off to the side, and I see the waterfall and digitize effect. I have no idea what's happening, so I just jumped in and out, and hopefully that fixed it.
Oh, man. A little bit of news from the United States that has some tongues wagging. It seems that the Supreme Court of Colorado overturned a lower court's decision and ruled that the orange frump, orange thrush, cannot be on the ballot in the state of Colorado in 2024.
I saw that. Basically shutting him down.
Yes. Now, he's immediately going to appeal to the Supreme Court. But at the lower court ruling, they said, that there was nothing in that constitution or nothing in that law that said that the president specifically had to, not act in contravention of the Constitution. It was everybody, like from the vice president down, the way that the law was kind of written. And, that was sort of like their escape hatch. It seems that the higher court ruled, nope, that covers him as well, because essentially then you would have a principle of no man is against that a man is above the law. And and think of it legally. If the courts rule that, well, everybody else has to uphold the Constitution in such a way or not dishonor it or whatever the term they used, except for the president, then what stops Joe Biden from simply declaring that he's never going to step down?
Yeah, no kidding.
So maybe now in Colorado, the decision was close. It was a 4-3 decision. So it wasn't like unanimous. And I believe all the justices on the Supreme Court there have been appointed by Democrats. And even with that, it was still a 4-3 decision. If right now the president was Republican with the Supreme Court that they have there now, maybe they would make that decision the other way around, that yes, he could run and that a man is above the law. But given that the president right now happens to be a Democrat and that Supreme Court is definitely not progressive,
You think?
they might be not as eager to create that precedent. And it seems that, whether or not they have decided that they would give it expedited consideration as to whether or not they would actually handle the case. So the Supreme Court can basically take the case and decide they're going to hear it on the merits, or decide, you know what, no, we don't need to hear this case. The lower court's ruling stands. That, I would assume, would be the easiest avenue for those justices to not bring a lot of heat and fire, because as soon as one Supreme Court justice who is Republican nominated, particularly if it was one that was nominated by Trump, would determine that, he's left off the ballot. Can you imagine the death threats? Can you imagine? And the 9 Supreme Court justices, particularly the Republican ones, seem to be a little touchy on even having ethics rules and people looking into their friends like Harlan Crow and what they donate to them on the official Adopt a Justice program that seems to be existing. So I'm not sure they want that type of scrutiny.
Oh, definitely not.
So I'm thinking that, just basic human behavior, if you're looking at people that are risk averse, it's way less risky for those judges to say, you know what, the lower court ruling stands, and they don't even hear it. So therefore the story kind of dies there. Because if it goes there, then all the months that it's being argued and that's being considered, there's going to be so much pressure on them. And then the decision is going to have to come and everybody's going to be waiting for it. And then there'll be a whole bunch of reaction. Whereas if they just say the lower court rules, they get a couple of days of it, maybe a couple of weeks right now, and then it kind of goes away. We move on to the next thing. The interesting thing will be is if that decision stands at the Supreme Court, or if the Supreme Court decides that they're not going to hear it. There's about 9 other states that have similar cases.
Wow.
Now, Colorado is pretty much a Democratic state. Trump really doesn't have any chance of winning there. So even if he's left off the ballot, no big whoop. He's not getting the electors from there anyway. But let's say Michigan decides to go there, which is a swing state, or Pennsylvania, or Virginia. All of a sudden, that becomes a little interesting. And some news that people may have missed, in the state of Wisconsin, where there is not an official investigation yet about electors.
Right.
10 electors have pled guilty to the fake elector scheme. And as part of their admission of guilt, they have to admit that Biden did indeed win and that their actions were taken for the purpose of denying Joe Biden a legitimate presidency. At some point, that party is going to have to admit what happened. I don't know how long they're going to drag it out, but at some point, at the federal level, the Republicans are going to have to admit that they were part of something that was. There's going to be way too much evidence at some point, too many admissions of guilt on the record.
You think they'll do it, though?
Pardon?
Do you think they'll admit?
At some point, if the donations start to dry up, right? It's all about the money with Republicans, right? That's why George Santos is gone. He messed with rich people's money.
Yeah, and they don't care for that.
Yeah, and that's the reason why the House and the Senate, the House and the Senate with the Republicans are not. The House Republicans are about to have the most unproductive session of Congress in the history of the United States. Not only because the House Democrats are opposing them, not only because they can't agree amongst themselves, but because the GOP-led Senate with Mitch McConnell is not actually helping them much either. And, you know, after the midterms, I think their lead in the House was like 4 or 5 seats, but with, you know, like Santos gone and McCarthy deciding he's going to retire and that kind of stuff, it's only down to 1 or 2 now.
Yeah.
Which makes it very, very hard. and the 8 that sort of got rid of McCarthy are still saying they're talking about Mike Johnson now. And there's like, you need to stop playing both sides and you really need to make some decisions, get off the pot. And they're turning around and say, you know, if you decide our way, everything will be smooth. But if you don't decide our way, we're going to make problems for you. It's like, you have a 2-seat majority. You don't have the luxury of making problems for your speaker, but they can't see it. They don't want to see it. They want their way. They're still stomping their little foot.
Well, they'll continue to do that forever, right?
Right. And we're looking at going into another election, 2024, with, remember back, I think it was like in, 88 or 98, when Republicans put all those anti-gay marriage measures on the ballot to bring out the Republicans to vote.
Don't really remember that, honestly.
That whole no hate campaign. Right? People were saying, you know, we're having tattoos of NOH8 all over this. But all those measures, basically, the Republicans put measures on state ballots opposing that to try and get to gin out the vote. Because if you didn't like the candidate, maybe you would feel passionately enough about that issue to come and vote against it. And while you were there, vote for the Republican candidate. Well, it seems that the Democrats are taking the same strategy with regards to abortion.
Interesting.
There's been no state yet on which there's been an abortion ballot measure where the measure has failed. Even states like Kansas. So it seems that there's a concerted strategy to get those types of measures on as many ballots as possible. And maybe while people are out voting for that, they'll vote for Biden again.
Well,
it's
that's
a
a good
strategy. It's a good
It's a good one.
strategy. It's a good strategy. So should do it with legalizing pot as well. How are we doing for time, Mr. Grizzly?
We should wrap up. I have to get into the office. I got to finish up a project I started yesterday, and I solved a lot of problems. So
Yay! Yay for solving problems. All right. One little quick thing I want to mention before we go, because we like Canadians who make us proud. Our short track speed skating team was at a stop in Seoul, South Korea, and they emerged with 6 medals
outstanding.
from this one. So William Danjidou and Stephen Dubois, again, who we've been talking about a lot this year. Danjidou won a silver medal in the 1,500 meter on Saturday, and on this weekend they had the race twice. So once on the Saturday, I guess, and one on the Sunday. And I believe he won again. Yes, he won the gold on the Sunday. So silver on the Saturday, gold on the Sunday. He has won 5 individual medals in the first 4 World Cup legs of the season, including 2 golds.
Wow.
So he's rocking it. Dubois had another podium finish as well, winning the gold in the 1,000 meters. And bronze medal was Pascal Dion, also from Team Canada. So it was a silver and bronze in the 1,000 for Canada there. Dubois is finishing 2023 at the top of the World Cup's short track speed skating rankings, all events combined at 683 points, 2 points ahead of South Korean skater that goes by Park, and Danjadu is in the top 3. So basically 2 of the top 3 men's short track speed skating athletes in the world at the end of 2023 are Canadian. There we go. And then Felix Roussel took a bronze in the 1,500 meters that Danjadu got the silver in as well. So in the first half of the World Cup season, which included 4 legs, Team Canada has picked up 23 medals.
Wow.
Yeah, that team is rocking it and rocking it hard.
No kidding.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Grizzly, we have a show. Kids
We
and
do.
Cubs. This is the end of the Daily Beaver Morning Show for today, December 20th. We hope that you love listening to us because we loved making this for you. Of course, sharing is caring, so please tell your peeps and poops all about us because you have the mouths from which we want the good word coming out. And you give us a lot of help. I see here on the chat that it seems that our subscribers on the YouTube channel have gone up to 524. So it's growing fast. I think that might be the fastest we've accumulated 25 people since we've started. That's pretty quick. It was just 500 just the other day, right before interviewing Laura Babcock. So thank you so much, whoever is doing that. We really appreciate it. Yes, if you would like to, I was too busy celebrating and reveling that I forgot that the next step was to thank the Ray Girl for sponsoring our pod page. It's almost like just like freezing.
Yeah, that
yes.
happens from time to time. We try and avoid it, but some things just are unavoidable, and that happened to be one of them.
It's like the information from the brain just stopped coming to the mouth for a second. If you would like to not miss an episode, please go to our pod page sponsored by the Ray Girl. That little squiggly on the screen there will take you there if you want to scan it while you're watching. And if you're listening at home, that's podpage.com/The True North Eager Beaver, lowercase letters with a hyphen between each one of those words. We really, really, really appreciate that. And if you do like smashing buttons, then make like Kit Elaine. Make like Kit Elaine and go to our True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube channel. And we have 3 buttons there for you to smash with: like, share, and subscribe. Our 3 favorite words other than Mr. Grizzly.
Free beer today.
Although I think I might pass on the free beer today, considering how the not so free beer yesterday affected me today.
I had a glass of wine with dinner last night, and I feel like when I woke up at 5, I felt like I get hit by a truck. A single glass of wine with dinner. I'm clearly getting older.
Yep, indeed. So there you click like, share, subscribe, and on the YouTube channel. And for free beer today, that little squiggly by Mr. Grizzly's head brings you to our coffee page. That's coffee.com, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, lowercase letters, all in one word. I have 3 people that I have yet to thank. I have not forgotten you. I think it's Yves Moisin, Kit Sherrill, and I wish I could remember all 3 of them off the top of my head. I'm so sorry. But I will, trust me, I will give you the official thanks that you are due on an upcoming episode. Because democracy is something that you do write to your MPs, your MLAs, your senators, your media outlets. Ask for those meetings, particularly again on the National School Food Program.
Mm.
If we're not feeding kids, I don't know what we're doing. On homelessness, if we're not housing people, I don't know what we're
What are
doing.
we doing? Yeah. Yeah.
What are we
It's
doing?
like, come on.
It's our money. Spend it on us. Feed us, house us. Right? This should not be hard. Okay, so make the point. Let them know that you care about these issues and that you want more money directed there. That you want a UBI. Right?
Yeah.
Again, I say let's vote for something other than just our own wallets here, and get your shots, your XBB shots. Let's keep the hospitals unclogged. I keep on seeing the numbers. Ooh, boy, you do not want to be in the hospitals
It's not
over the
getting
holiday
better.
period. So make sure that in your gatherings that you make sure that you take care of your health as well. Yeah, and of course, if you have a little bit of money, donate to the Red Cross because a lot of Canadians have had a pretty hard summer. From the Beaver Lodge, this is your eager beaver saying it could be a tough world out there, so please be kind to and gentle with yourself. Mr. Grizzly, do you have some words of wisdom for us today?
I'm kind of drawing a blank, honestly. I'm bombarded with, my feed is just covered with stuff right now that I'm trying to sort through and parse through in my head. And I guess the one thing I could say that we say, democracy is something you do. We tried to warn you, Alberta. We really did. And now you're reaping the benefits of voting in a UCP government. Danielle Smith is destroying your health care in front of your eyes, and she doesn't care about you. So don't let this happen in other provinces in Canada. Be an aware and informed voter. Look at their platform. And in her case, she said she wasn't going to do the APP and not touch the CPP, which she's doing anyway. So, I mean, when we tell you somebody is a liar and they're lying to your face and they're treating you like they're stupid, please listen to us. We're not telling you who to vote for, but we're telling you one person you shouldn't vote for. And Alberta, you're reaping what you sowed, and I feel for you, man, because it's so many innocents are going to be harmed by this. And that's the part I hate the most. So many people are going to get harmed by her ridiculous policies that are being dictated to her by wealthy people who don't give a damn about a single one of us.
And even those who voted for her thinking that they did want her. She's not loyal to you either. She's going to hurt you as well.
Yes.
Don't vote for people who hurt people.
Don't.
Mr. Grizzly, roll the credits, and I have an interesting Easter egg when we get back.
Good morning, this is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Big hello to Jazzy, Mateo, and Rain, by the way. Big hugs to all three of you. Mr. Grizzly, I'm not sure if you saw this one, but this one crossed my Twitter feed, and I loved it because I thought it was perfect. Imagine if liberals complained about stuff in the same way conservatives do. Now, it's a little clip. This person clearly is progressive, but is pretending that he's a Republican.
Tongue-in-cheek.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So you need to know that to get the joke.
All right, here we go.
Oh, hi. I'm a concerned parent in North Texas, and I don't know if y'all have noticed, but lately these gas prices are getting ridiculous. I mean, every time I go to the pumps lately, I just stare at that total like a calf looking at a new gate. $2.29? This is just unacceptable. How long is the average Republican voter supposed to continue to pretend to be outraged about gas prices when they keep climbing down like this? Look, it was pretty easy for me to ignore when the US hit record levels of oil production a few months ago. I mean, I just yelled, EVs are bad for the environment, every time some woke fact monger objectively reported it. But this week, when the US broke the annual oil production record, gas prices are consistently dropping, and my earthly God, who does not look like this Garfield stuffy from Walmart, ate 3 plates of lasagna and then put on a suit, swore up and down.
Gasoline prices are now $5, $6, $7, and even $8 a gallon.
Almost broke. But then I figured it out. It was so obvious, I was honestly a little embarrassed. An emotion I've never felt before, except once, when I got caught reading a book. It was just the author bio for Ted Cruz's book, where he talks about being a podcast host who tweets about being a senator, but still, embarrassing. Anyway, I figured it out. I've been lied to. There's only so much misinformation that a free-thinking, independent-minded conservative like myself can take from the devilish Democrats who are colluding with gas stations to put fake prices up on the signs just to make Republicans look like liars. But this goes even deeper than that. They also put the fake prices from here onto your credit card bill to further cover up and hide their lies. All this blatant deceit by the woke oil and gas companies in collusion with the woke credit card companies and the woke laws of supply and demand. Look at this sticker I put up a while ago when prices were coming up, and I was told that I believe that Joe Brandon controlled gas prices immediately upon taking office.
Joe Brandon.
Well, I don't want folks to get the wrong idea, so I have to retrace my steps and drive all over North Texas to take these things down. Luckily, gas is kind of cheap now, so it shouldn't be that expensive.
That was good. That was good. That was a good one.
That one netted the never given before 100 Beaver points.
Yeah, no kidding. I got to
All right,
repost
kids.
that one. That's a good one.
You can put it post it in the chat for the kids there. All right, kids, have a wonderful day.
Let me just hang on. I got to copy the link and I'll post it in the chat for anybody who wants to have a look at it on the Twitter for themselves. Alrighty. I'll see you.